I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there, as opposed to somebody who you perhaps are destined to be with.
5 years ago, Prince Harry turned his back on the crown, lit the fuse on the fractured relationship with his family, and walked away. In his eyes, he thought he had successfully strong-armed the monarchy into bending to his will, but oh, how wrong he was.
There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations and then in order for reconciliation, and part of that has to be accountability.
When Prince Harry first decided to step back from royal duties and traded stiff handshakes for Hollywood hugs, everyone thought he would come to his senses eventually and find his way back. After all, he still clung to the one thing that made him relevant, his title. But now, even that title may be leaving him. Behind closed doors, Parliament is preparing a move that could erase the Duke of Sussex from official history. No more HRH, no more royal perks, just Harry Windsor, private citizen stripped of rank, stripped of legacy. Sources say Harry's losing it, calling it cruel and unfair, but this isn't family drama anymore. This is the British government invoking a wartime law designed for traitors. And if they go through with it, it won't just be punishment, it'll be a warning. To Harry, to Meghan, to anyone who tries to profit off the monarchy while torching it from the outside. This time, the crown isn't staying silent. It's taking aim.
His life is planned out for him. Whereas for the spare, that's not really what you should do. You should kind of be sitting there a little bit in the monarch's shadow and just wait your turn.
It all started with a clean break, or so we thought. Back in 2020, Harry and Meghan announced they were stepping back from royal duties. Financial independence, they called it. A fresh start. No more tiaras, no more protocol, no more palace drama. But despite their strong stance, they didn't give everything up. While they agreed publicly to stop using the HRH titles, they kept something else. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now mind you, these aren't mere names or titles. These are valuable assets. Assets they could attach to Netflix, Spotify, cookbooks, wellness products, even children's books, and for a while, it worked. The media ate it up, the public tuned in, they told their story again and again. From Oprah to The Cut, to Spotify and back to Netflix, and through it all, one thing never changed. They were still royal, just without the duties, or the discipline, and that's exactly where the problem began. Because while the public initially sympathized with their story, the tide turned when they kept using those titles like promotional codes. And according to insider sources, things hit a boiling point when Meghan allegedly signed a gift basket with the phrase from HRH, the Duchess of Sussex, a title she'd agreed not to use, a title Queen Elizabeth herself reportedly asked her to drop. To royal traditionalists, it wasn't just tacky, it was treason light, and only got worse.
Are you surprised by the amount of personal information Harry is sharing?
I am surprised because essentially he moved to America for privacy.
The Sussexes began trading their trauma for brand equity. Harry's memoir, Spare, spilled deeply personal family details. Meghan's podcast leaned into palace politics, and each time the couple had something to say, the royal brand was front and center. They walked away from the crown, but carried it in their pockets, milking it for what it's worth. Now, the British establishment has had enough. This isn't just a family feud anymore, it's a constitutional reckoning. Because you can't call yourself a private citizen on Monday and a duchess by Wednesday. And now the House of Lords is making sure that line is finally, permanently drawn.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship.
The royal family has never been immune to scandals over the years, but most of the time it blows over, except for this one, and right now it's heading for the law books. Behind the scenes, Parliament has been gossiping for a while, but now they're turning that gossip into something deadly serious. According to reports, they're looking to invoke a law that hasn't been used in over a century, the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. Originally created during World War I to punish royals who sided with the enemy, literal traitors to the crown, It was designed to strip dukes, princes, and other nobles of their titles when they became liabilities to the nation. And now, that same law is back on the table. This time not for treason and war, but for betrayal by brand. Under this act, if Parliament agrees, Prince Harry's Duke of Sussex title can be revoked with a formal vote. No need for the king to intervene, no long court battle. Just one clean legislative cut and the title is gone, permanently. Sources say multiple MPs on both sides of the political aisle are fed up, not just with Harry's Netflix narrative, but with what they see as a dangerous precedent. If Harry keeps his title after all the public takedowns, what's to stop the next disgruntled royal from doing the same? What happens when the monarchy becomes a revolving door of ex-royals cashing in on old family secrets? This isn't just about one couple. This is about the system, and for Parliament, it's become a matter of institutional survival. Because if the crown stands for anything anymore, it can't allow titles to be dragged through podcast scripts and paparazzi spreads like cheap luggage. The act may be old, but it's never felt more relevant.
100%. And I think, after I've done this, the book comes out, I would hope that other members of the family feel as though they can write their own book.
If every member of the royal family is writing tell-all books, what's going to be left of it? They say titles don't make the man, but take Harry's away, and what's left? According to insider reports, the prince once hailed as the people's spare is now spiraling, enraged, defeated. Because for all the California sunshine, the Netflix fame, and the public therapy tours, this title still means everything. Sources close to the Sussex circle claim Harry sees the move as vindictive and unjust. He's allegedly convinced that this isn't about accountability, it's about punishing him for telling the truth, for stepping out, and for marrying Meghan. But here's what he's missing. This time it's not the palace doing the cutting, it's the government, and they're not interested in feelings. Harry probably didn't realize the enormity of what he was up against until earlier this year when he lost his legal appeal to reinstate taxpayer-funded security for his family in the UK. The court ruled against him, firmly. They stated in no uncertain terms, if you're no longer a working royal, you don't get royal protection. Not even if you're Diana's son. Not even if you feel unsafe. And just hours after that ruling, Harry sat down for another emotional interview, voice cracking and eyes flickering with self-pity. He said he still wanted reconciliation, he still loved his family, and he still didn't understand why they'd turned away.
It's not really a case-by-case basis, it's an either-or. If you're invited to the UK by your family, then we will give you security. If you come for any other reason, then you will get a very low amount of security. I'm not going to confirm what that is, but it is completely insufficient.
But this wasn't vulnerability. It felt like he was performing. At this point, every statement from him feels like a strategy. Every photo at Diana's grave, every quote about childhood trauma, and every single dig at Camilla, it's not healing. It's chess, and Harry's running out of moves. Now, with Parliament circling and public sympathy vanishing, he's finding out what happens when you set the bridge on fire and still expect someone to cross it for you.
I've been treated very, very, very differently to everybody else that exists. All examples that exist, past, present, I have been singled out.
Looking at the state of things now, it's wild to imagine there was a time when Harry and Meghan had the world on their side. They were the underdogs, the ones who walked away from an outdated system, a modern couple who said no to centuries of cold tradition in favor of freedom, love, and family. But that version of the story is long gone, and public opinion, it didn't just shift, it snapped. Recent polling paints a brutal picture. Only 27% of Britons view Harry positively. Just 20% have a favorable opinion of Meghan, and those are the lowest numbers recorded since polling began. Even more shocking, their strongest base, millennials and Gen Z, are also walking away too. The final straw for everyone wasn't the memoir or Oprah or Spotify. It was the endless contradiction. Claiming they wanted privacy, then filming everything. Saying they left royalty behind while using royal titles on skincare labels, podcasts, and talk show bookings.
And I think a lot of Brits are somewhat perplexed at the moment because this is the opposite to privacy. This is the opposite to living a quiet life.
The people who feel most betrayed are not even the royals or the press. It's the regular citizens. The people of Sussex, for example, the very region Harry represents as Duke. Thousands of them have reportedly signed the petition to remove his title. And that hurts more than any headline because titles aren't just symbols. They're supposed to mean something: service, duty, respect. But what Harry gave back in the eyes of many was complaints wrapped in California sunshine. Now, the crowd that once lined the streets for Diana, the ones who waved flags at Will and Kate's wedding, they're the same voices saying enough.
And I think what really worries me more than anything else about today's decision, depending on what happens next, is that it's set a new precedent, that security can be used to control members of the family.
If you've been wondering why King Charles hasn't said a word all this time, you'll wonder for a long time, because that's the whole point. His silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strategy. While Prince Harry vents in interviews and Meghan allegedly signs gift baskets with HRH titles, the monarchy is doing what it does best: playing the long game. Sources inside royal circles say Charles has no intention of stepping in to defend his youngest son. Not after Spare, not after the racism accusations, not after Harry dragged him as an emotionally distant father on international television. Instead, Charles is doing something colder, smarter. He's stepping back and letting Parliament do the dirty work. If the House of Lords moves to strip Harry's titles using the Titles Deprivation Act, it spares Charles from looking like the cruel father who punished his child. He gets distance, dignity, and most importantly, he keeps his hands clean. It's a tactical retreat, and a brilliant one, but the real force behind the scenes, according to sources, is Prince William. For years, he stayed quiet, took the high road, watched his brother launch grenades across the Atlantic from Oprah to Anderson Cooper to Netflix specials that painted the monarchy as a heartless machine. But now, insiders say William is done playing nice. He's reportedly backing the title removal push privately and may even be encouraging it behind the scenes. Because for William, this isn't about brotherhood anymore. It's about the crown. Every time Harry goes public with a new accusation, William's job as future king gets harder. His family looks messier and his legacy gets dragged. And if Harry keeps using the Duke of Sussex title while profiting from anti-monarchy content, that's not just betrayal. That's a branding crisis. To William, stripping Harry and Meghan of their titles isn't revenge, it's damage control. The royal family knows they need to be checked, and now they've found the perfect patsy to do just that.
And effectively what it does is imprison other members of the family from being able to choose a different life. That basically says that you can't live outside of their control if you want to be safe.
If we're being honest, this story is far from being political. It's obviously personal, and at the heart of it all are the children. According to insider sources, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle allegedly faced months of delays trying to secure British passports for their children, Archie and Lilibet. 6 months, to be exact. And behind the scenes, there were questions like, was someone slowing it down? Some believe King Charles may have quietly intervened either out of protocol or punishment, an unspoken warning. You can't demand royal benefits after walking away from royal life. The delays reportedly shook Harry deeply. Sources claim he was furious, not just at the bureaucracy, but at what it symbolized, a system he can no longer influence. For the first time, even his children were being treated like outsiders. That's when Harry allegedly considered a move that would have stunned the crown, changing his family's last name. Not to Windsor, not to Mountbatten, but to Spencer, his mother's name, Diana's name. He even reportedly consulted her brother, Earl Spencer, about the possibility, but he reportedly made him realize that the consequences of making such moves far outweigh whatever point he was trying to make. Because the moment Harry chose Spencer over Windsor, it wasn't just a snub, it was a declaration. And in a monarchy obsessed with bloodlines and names, Harry's consideration of this change reads less like rebranding and more like rebellion. Because if he's willing to rewrite the family name, what's left of the legacy he claims to protect?
And I think if you strip away all the noise of everything that's been said by other people and all the noise that's been created around this, if you strip that all away, I think what people will hear is that the only thing that I've been asking for throughout this whole process is safety. Both when I was in when I was part of the institution, and when we left.
If titles weren't meant to be monetized, someone forgot to give Meghan Markle the memo. From day one, the Duchess of Sussex turned post-royal life into a masterclass in soft branding. She used her Hollywood connections and newfound influence to make different kinds of deals, from podcasts to children's books, wellness products, and that infamous Oprah interview seen around the world. But do you know the one catalyst that made all this possible? The title. Even after the couple agreed, per the Queen's wishes, not to use their HRH styles commercially, Meghan allegedly kept it close. So close, in fact, that she recently signed a personalized card writing from HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. While she got duly criticized the moment it became public news, with royal insiders calling it disrespectful and deliberate, the real message behind what she did was clear. She and her husband never really let go of the power and influence that comes with being related to the royal family. Because while Harry talks about trauma and reconciliation, Meghan's focus has always seemed different. Less about healing the past and more about packaging it. Her lifestyle brand, her skincare line, her rumored return to social media is all wrapped in the allure of royalty but sold under the brand of independence. It's what critics now call title washing. Using royal credentials not for service but for sales. Not for duty but for distribution deals, and in the eyes of Parliament it may be the final straw. Because it's one thing to walk away. It's another to build a personal empire while sprinkling HRH over jam jars and interview clips like royal glitter. Even allies are beginning to ask, if you left the institution, why does every product still wear its crown? That question, more than any tabloid drama, is what lawmakers now want answered. Because when royal becomes a marketing tool, where does the monarchy end and the merch shelf begin? If Parliament moves forward, it won't be dramatic. It'll be surgical. One vote and Harry becomes Mr. Windsor. No HRH, no Duke. Just a man with memories of a crown he once wore and a media empire built on what used to be. For the monarchy, it's closure. For Harry, it's exile. Because in the end, you can't burn the system and still sell its ashes. The crown is drawing a line, and this time it may be permanent. Will they really strip him? Is this the monarchy's quiet revenge or the start of something even bigger? Let us know in the comment section below.